Our lesson today is on the lives and work of Saints Timothy and Titus. The life of Saint Timothy first. Timothy was born in Lystra, which is about 200 kilometers northwest of Tarsus. He was born to a Jewish mother and a pagan father. When Paul passed through those lands at the beginning of his second missionary journey, he chose Timothy as a companion because he was highly esteemed by the brethren of Lystra and Iconium. But Paul himself circumcised Timothy, for the Jews that were in those regions almost required it. With the apostle of the Gentiles, Paul, Timothy passed through Asia Minor and reached Macedonia. He then accompanied Paul to Athens, and from there he was sent to Thessalonica. Then he continued to Corinth and collaborated in the evangelization of the city on the Isthmus. The figure of Timothy stands out like that of a great shepherd. According to the later ecclesiastical history of Eusebius, Timothy was the first bishop of Ephesus. Some of Timothy's relics came from Constantinople in 1239 to rest in Italy, in the Cathedral of Termoli in Molise. Titus's life. Titus was from a Greek family, still a pagan, and was converted by Paul on one of his journeys, only to become his collaborator, companion, and brother in mission. The apostle of the Gentiles took Titus with him to Jerusalem for the so-called Apostolic Council, precisely at the crucial moment of the controversy concerning the baptism of the Gentiles. The apostle, Paul, was resolutely opposed to the circumcision of the Christians of Antioch. Some of the apostles were resolutely for it, requiring it of all Gentiles. Paul and Titus thus became the living symbol of the universality of Christianity, without distinction of nationality, race, or culture. After the departure of Timothy from Corinth, Paul entrusted Titus with the task of bringing that difficult community back to obedience, and Titus succeeded in bringing peace between the Church of Corinth and Paul. Titus was sent back to Corinth by Paul, who called him my companion and collaborator, to organize the conclusion of the collections for the Christians of Jerusalem. Further information from the pastoral letters qualifies him as the Bishop of Crete. The works of these two faithful servants of the gospel. Paul circumcised the disciple Timothy and did not circumcise Titus, whom he also brought with him to Jerusalem before the council of the apostles. Thus, in his two collaborators, Paul unites the men of the circumcision and the men of the non-circumcision, the men of the law and the men of the faith. According to tradition, Paul wrote 2 letters to Timothy and 1 to Titus. There are the only 2 letters of the New Testament addressed not to communities, but to persons. By then an old man, St. Paul the Apostle allowed himself to write letters full of affection towards his 2 disciples, pleased to have put the proclamation of the gospel into their hands. according to Benedict XVI. Timothy and Titus teach us to serve the gospel with generosity, knowing that this also involves a service to the church itself that lasts forever.